guys, we are here with Snow this morning. One thing I want to go over in this video is talking about how, I always talk about healing, but it seems to be one of the biggest issues that people have with their dogs. And in my opinion, if you can get your dog to do a good heel with you, you can get them to do anything for you. This is an amazing way to give your dog physical stimulation, mental stimulation, working on building a team together, a working relationship with your dog. There's so many benefits to learning how to use a leash properly. And it doesn't just come down to your dog just magically walking next to you. Now, granted, that's what we would eventually like to see. But there is a learning process. This is why it is called training, and it's not called dog magic, right? We are training our dog to do something over and over and over the same way until it becomes a learned behavior. So with Snow here, he has improved drastically with his healing. When he first started, I could barely even get him to look at me when we were outside. He was just at the very end of the leash. He always wanted to be pulling. And now we can, just kind of hang out. We have a loose leash. I can get his attention. I can get him to sit on pressure. I can get him to walk with me. Now, the only thing that we're working on is really kind of just tightening up his heel. He still wants to be the one that's just slightly ahead. Now granted, he's a big dog, but that right there is not a proper heel. Now, excuse my sandals. I'm sorry. It's too hot to wear socks, I'll be honest. So this is not where we want him to be. See how he is already ahead of me? How can he follow my lead if he's already in the lead, right? So before I go anywhere, you have to make sure that your dog is slightly behind you. Now in a heel, I like to say your dog's nose should be about at the back of your knee, right here, or at your heel. If they pass that line, it is now up to you as the handler to get your dog to understand that anytime you pass this line, I am either going to stop, pop, or change directions, okay? Stops are going to be used for a full-on calm down. If he is not paying attention, he's not even looking at you, he's really fixated on something, he's way outside of the box, you have done more than, 2 pops, all of those scenarios would be we need to go to a stop position, hold pressure. So we'll follow through, hold pressure till his butt hits ground, and then release pressure. Good boy, Snowball. Right, so that's your full-on stop. Now, you don't want to just start moving again as soon as you do that. The whole point of stop is to calm down. Notice you don't need to say the word sit. Now, when I'm in the training process, I might say it just to help them out to get the action to the word. But right now, what we really just want him to understand is that pressure means calm down. We don't know that's happened as humans until we see a physical change in our dog, which is going to be a sit position or a more submissive pose. So now that he's in a calm state, if I start moving right now, he's not going to start following where I'm going. He's going to go to whatever he's looking at right now. He's not going to want to just walk with me all of a sudden. So the first thing I have to do is either do some whistles, pet him. You could use, if you're out in public or even when you're in the training process, using high value treats to make yourself more exciting than the distraction. Whatever you need to do to get your dog to focus on you and look at you and make you guys a working pair right now. This is not just taking a walk, it is a moving command where your dog needs to follow your lead. So you're basically playing a game of follow the leader right now, and he is the one that's following you. Now, if you don't give him the guidance of someone to follow, what's going to happen is he's going to take the lead and mess up, and you're just going to be doing correcting. He doesn't have anyone to follow. He's going to get confused onto why he's constantly getting corrected. Well, what is he getting correct? What's the correction of what you're correcting him on, right? He doesn't understand that. He needs to be the one to follow you. So a big one that I do, especially with Snow, is doing a lot of direction changes. Now, I know I always kind of take videos when we've already been healing for a few minutes and, we're in a nice little groove. But it's really important to know that as a handler and a trainer, I do not just start walking outside and all of a sudden we just start walking up the road like a cloud together, right? No, we start out with coming out of their crate. He comes flying out of his crate when I open it. So we've been doing a lot of work on getting him to sit and be calm before he exits the crate. Already we're instilling calm behavior gets you what you want. This hyper behavior gets a redirection onto something else more mentally stimulating. So making sure he's calm when he comes out of his crate is our first step. Then he doesn't get to go through the living room to the front door. I make him stop every time. I make him calm down. He still has to follow my lead. Then we get to the door and I make sure he does a wait. So none of my dogs, don't care how old they are, if they're trainers, if they're boarders, if they're daycare, I never ever let a dog just walk out the door before me without sitting and me saying okay. So all of my dogs will go to the door. I will put them in a sit position. I'll say wait, and then I will slowly open the door. You can watch some of my videos on that, on how to do wait, if you need help with that as well. But right there, that's already instilling in your dog. We are not going to leave the house until you are in a calm state of mind and on my direction when I say, okay, we get to leave the house together or after me. He never gets to just barge out the door with his nose, right? So even right there, that was a great little thing to show too. He went to the end of the leash. Now, we're just going like this. My husband actually had a great thing that I'm even going to start using, is can you walk your dog on your pinky? Okay, so this is a great way to reinforce for yourself to not apply too much pressure. Right there is all the amount of pressure that you need, a pinky's worth. I can just give him that little pop. And look how nice we are right now. We're not in a heel. He's just calm. He's allowed to be a dog right now. But we have pinky's worth of pressure. If your dog is ever going further than that, even when you're just going out to potty, I always call it the lawnmower. So if they get to the end of the leash, I never allow this straight leash to ever happen. I always go like that and then just release that tension. So it's nice and loose. We can't expect our dogs to walk on a loose leash if we don't give them the opportunity to do that, right? If you're always fist closed, so this is what happens when you have your fist closed on a leash like most people do. If he goes somewhere, you have no other option but applying tension. That's it. You can't do anything. If it's on your fingertips, what happens is it slides over your fingers and you're allowing that tension to go away, and you can just do pay attention pops, or you can do full-on stop. So right, I said stop, pop, or change directions. So again with Snow, so before we even start, I'm not going to just try and get him to clean himself up when we haven't been healing. So this is a great way to show you guys how I start off healing with a dog. I'm not going to go in a straight line by any means. I am going to do a lot of zigzags, a lot of direction changes, pace changes, whatever I need to do to get Snow to realize, oh God, I got to pay attention. This lady is all over the place and I am not the one that's leading right now. I got to follow wherever she's going. That's our goal. Right, so right off the bat, Snow, I'm going to get his attention. Just a little bit worth of pressure, not a lot, especially Snow. He is a very sensitive man, so less is more with him. If we teach him this tiny little force of pressure, means you need to be calm, then you're only going to need that much force. You're not going to need to, be really heavy-handed. Okay, so we're going to do heel. Good. So right there, as soon as he starts to go ahead is when I'm going to turn, and I gave him a pop. I didn't pull, right? So now he's just slightly behind. This is a beautiful heel. I turn before he takes the lead. If I wait until he takes the lead and then keep correcting, that's what I was talking about in the beginning, where you're not being a leader, you're just correcting behaviors you don't like. If you want your dog to follow you, change directions. If you keep going in a straight line, it's going to get boring, right? Left turns are great because see what happens when I turn left and he's not paying attention. So he kind of gets bumped into and he's like, ooh, I'm going to focus. So right now, he's not paying attention. I turn left. Look, my knee hit his shoulder, right? He should be here where I turn left and he doesn't get hit at all. So that's a great way for you to realize, is my dog paying attention? Make a sharp left just out of nowhere, right there. He didn't do it. So instead of that, I'm going to just give him a pop just to say, calm down. Turn again. All right, so right turns are good because it helps you practice your pop to get their attention, not pulling them. We can't teach them solid pressure means stop and solid pressure means go. That makes no sense. Pop means pay attention. So if I turn and he's not paying attention, I can say, hey, pay attention, I turned, right? I'm not using the tool to just pull him where I want him to be. I'm getting him to walk with me as a pair. The tool is just there as a guider, right? It gives me a way to communicate with him without using English language, which he doesn't speak. Another important thing is your positioning of your leash. So with Snow, good boy, he is a sweet man. With Snow, you want it really high up. Right, so you want it really high up. You want your gold loop centered with his nose. You don't want your safety so high that his thing is going to slide around. But you also don't want it tight on there where this is tight. So we just want about right there, enough that we can do pressure and release. So it's a loose leash right now. There's plenty of, okay. So I'm just going to roll it a little bit, get a position high. What was that, Bubba? Right, so we got high up behind, right underneath his chin. Snow. So right there, right off the bat, we can't start walking until I get his attention. So I'm either going to do this. Snow. Good boy. Heel. And then we start moving. A little pop. So right there, he's not paying attention to me, right? He's watching the distraction. So now it's my job. Oh, see, he's really nervous. You can see he's a nervous boy. Okay, Bubba. Right, so this is a good way to show you too. Okay, he is really nervous right now. So what do we need to do? We need to get him to calm down. Snow. Sit. Good boy. Sit. Notice I'm using very calming tones. I'm not getting worked up. I'm just being relaxed. If I want my dog to be calm, I need to be calm. If you get nervous because you know he's nervous and you tense up on the leash, you're already setting yourself up for disaster. You're telling him there's something to be worried about. Right now we have this loose leash. He hears there's some saws going and stuff right there. So he's a little distracted by that, right? So just nice and easy. I'm not going to make it difficult for him. I'm going to let him kind of notice that it's nothing to worry about. Sudden things really spook him. He's such a sweet boy, but he's very nervous. So a lot of confidence building is important for him. Okay, yeah. Come on, buddy. So right there, I'm going to turn. Not going to let him just focus on the distraction and keep moving towards it. I'm just going to do some circles, some zigzags. Come on, buddy. There you go. He's a good boy. Good job. Lots of verbal praise. Yeah. Good job. Nice and loose leash, though. Right? Good boy. And that's really good. So he's a little nervous still. He's checking things out, but he's not pulling. He's not freaked out, which is our goal. Now, the more he does this correctly and calmly, the easier it's going to get every single time we go for a walk. So there you go, guys. There's a lot of great tips, some really important things to follow when it comes to healing, and, you know, especially for Snow, especially. So if you guys have any questions, give us a call. We'd be happy to help you. And I hope everyone has a great Labor Day weekend. Right, Snow? Have a good one, guys.